Hello and welcome back. This is Ben here from Supercoach Insider. Lovely to be here. Now, before we move on our socials as well, if you're on the YouTube, like, subscribe, get amongst this business here. SC Insider 100, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all the other audio platforms as well, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, you name it for our podcasts. And obviously you're on YouTube here, so thank you very much. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on my performances for round 5, how I went, the trades I made, and also what I'm looking at into the future. So, having a quick look at my team, I ranked 373 overall now. So I had a pretty decent week, 2,321. I went VC on McRae, so I ended up taking that. Slight changes with Clark being dropped, and I was going to get rid of Jordan, but I was like, well, do I really want to get rid of someone who's going to play? Maybe he'll have a better round. Brockman was out, so I was considering and tossing up between, what I should do there. So I'm sitting quite pretty here. So 2,321, so I'm quite happy with my team. The thing is, though, is that when you're going for overall, if you're trying to get that momentum, you really are trying to upgrade as quick as possible to get as many points on field to keep pushing up the tree. So it's this little bit of a risk it for the biscuit. I considered not making many changes at all, but I wanted to make an upgrade. I wanted to bring in another premium. I wasn't sure if I wanted to wait a week for their price to drop. Like, what's the difference between 10 or 15,000, etc. So I actually wanted to try and make some trades there. Okay, so what I did, I was considering going Brockman to Titch. I was also tossing up going Brockman to Lockie Neal just because I felt Essendon his bunny side in a sense, and Lockie Neal was going big. I had this feeling, and as I said last week to Chris, Lockie Neal was going to average 115 for the rest of the year, and I was considering bringing him in because I didn't have enough money. Brockman to Titch or to Neal. When Clark went out, I decided to go straight up to Clary. I was going to get Clary this week instead, so I brought that forward. I played Clary. I then had to play Jordan and Berry on field, and unfortunately Berry kind of stunk it up a little bit. For a guy who was on 12 possessions at half time, he only got like one more for the game and did not do very well there at all. So my issue is Josh Kelly, again, kissed on the bits. The last 2 weeks, he's been tracking for a 60. He's playing wing, he's playing forward, he's getting all outside ball, not many contested, like a third of contested, and he's getting enough touches, right? But outside players don't do as well. He's consistent enough, but he's not going to be that top 6 to 10 midfielder that we want. I expect him to probably rack up the pill a little bit against some weaker sides, which is kind of a reason that for those who have him, if you want to keep him, but for me, it's 40,000 now to basically go from him to Lockie Neal. So I'm thinking about making that trade because I can't afford to get Lockie Neal and, say, Steele at the moment. Titch as well is another. He's someone who's only, 10,000 more and averaging 8 points more per game with better scope. So I'm really concerned, is Josh Kelly chipping away? Is he going to improve or is he going to sort of nullify and become nothing? So that's why I'm considering moving him on if I can. The other trade I made, I actually brought Waterman in. So this was one I was debating, and I did it probably quite late. Henry sucks. He was clog-filling my list. Do I want to risk someone who could possibly make 100,000 or more and free up some money that way? Because if I'm doing quite well so far, I want to try and maximize that cash that I can get and quickly try and upgrade. So it was a bit of a risk-reward system. Problem was, it was a bit of a wet game there, so I still see Waterman as a pretty decent attribute to that side at the moment. They seem to like him. Wet game obviously didn't help me at all in that sense. So hoping for Flynn to come back in. This one's going to be interesting. So what I am looking at doing this week, depending on teams and depending on how they're named, I'm looking at Berry out for Jones. I might have to, obviously Ridley hurt me. I might have to bring Laird into that midfield mix just for now. I'm assuming Cozzy might get dropped, but there's more money to be freed up in Berry at the moment, so it's going to be an interesting one. I do trust Jones and Chapman on field at the moment more than I do sort of a Berry and that kind of combination. I'm also a little bit concerned with Campbell here, so I was considering playing Rowe on field, and that way it would sort of free up a little bit of room there. Campbell, I might actually put the E on this week because I think they play fairly early, maybe third game in. So that could be a nice little one to sort of see if he goes all right to keep. I actually think Highmore plays this week. I could be wrong. I have been proven wrong before. So the other option is I'm thinking about keeping that trade in case, in case Cozzy isn't named, Highmore's not named, then I can actually make that trade. I think Saturday night, I think they're playing. I can actually make that trade. So Hawks are playing Sunday. Adelaide's playing Sunday. So I know, and Port and Saints are all on that Sunday game. So I'll be able to find out and actually make that trade. So I was considering just going, instead of getting rid of Berry, Josh Kelly straight to Lachie Neale and waiting. So that way I could trade out Berry, Lachie Neale could come in, and I could go Jones if Highmore or Cozzy is playing. So they're the options I'm kind of looking at the moment. I'm trying to bank some cash to make some more upgrades. I am looking at going Tex Walker up soon. Now, I know it's a bit controversial. He's averaging 122. I think he's averaging 107 the last three, so he has made me 180, 190,000. He's gone pretty well, so he's made me cash, 191,000 cash. He's the only key forward that's doing this at the moment, so that's my concern. I don't see him as a keeper. Some people might. What's he going to average for the rest of the year? I'm not too sure, but you look at other key forwards, they're not getting it as much. Now, Adelaide have been really competitive, and they've won 3 out of the 5. They were close on the others, so he's really competitive. Now, is that going to be sustained? Is that young group going to mesh and continue to do well? We saw Gold Coast do really well a couple of years ago and then really fell away. So I am concerned there. It's something that he's the only key forward that's really dominating to this extent, so I'm not sure if I want to keep him. So I'm waiting. Now, I am looking at keeping Tex, though, for this week. They're playing Hawks against a Hawthorn defence, so they can leak some points there. And then they're playing GWS. And GWS obviously don't have their main sort of key defenders there, so they're playing like Taylor and a few other people back there as well. So he could go really well the next 2 weeks, and I'll assess it based on there. So look, that's my side. Let us know what you're thinking. Let me know if you're something similar. I had a look at the top averaging players at the moment. I think I've got 11 out of the 16 or something like that. Zeeble continues to amaze me. And Impey chipping away as well. Had a few poor disposals early for the Imp, so he'll be chipping away. So for me, it really just comes down to, are these players going to get on field? Campbell could be rested soon. His time on ground's going down a little bit, so I try not to make too many trades too early. Now, a few people that I've spoken to and a few friends from work, etc., they made all their trades nice and early, but the problem is when things change, you need to change your plan, and I kind of kept it open. I waited, and instead of me moving sort of Titch or Neale, I was actually then able to keep that trade and trade out Clark to a better player. So hold your trades as long as you can. Keep them up your sleeve and make those trades when they're appropriate. But don't forget, don't get sidetracked and then get too late. So that's the cross sort of side there. So that's it. That's it for my side at the moment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how your team's stacking up. Jordan reset his break even, which was awesome because a lot of people got rid of him. He dropped down to a 28 break even. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is a little side note that I made, and it's Josh Kelly. These were my thoughts in the GWS podcast. Why do I keep trusting this guy even though he has 2 first names? I rip on every single person, and yet somehow this guy I'm trusting every year.
But, to be fair, it's your fault. Now, the other thing
it is my
really
fault.
want to say...
Yeah, we don't want to hit. No, Chris, you can wait your turn. 2 first names. Josh Kelly. I pick him every year. I don't know why. He's disappointed me usually for his body. This time his role sucks. So Josh Kelly, pull your finger out, mate. You upset me. And let's go with, and we'll blame Cameron instead. Who else is with me? Blame the Cameron train. Let me know what you think. Should I keep Josh Kelly? Should I trade him? Lachie Neale. Do you think he's a must? If you aren't sure, check out our podcast. Chris is coming over soon. We're going to smash that out of the way and come up with all the options for the Ridley, the DeGoeys, all those options as well for your injured players. Should you get Lachie Neale, etc. We're going to cover that in depth soon. So like us, subscribe, follow, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.